Hey guys, it's Veronica here from Aussies Do Down Under Farm School season, and today I'm going to be answering 3 very important questions that I was asked by one of my subscribers. So a big shout out to Bint Thanos. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Sorry if I didn't. Let's get to it. Like I said, today I'm going to be answering 3 important homeschooling questions. But before I do, I just wanted to ask, if you are liking my videos and you think you might want to, hit that subscribe button and the little bell, and it will notify you every time I drop a new video. That way you're not going to miss anything. So these questions, let's get stuck into them. Okay, so the first question is, how much time should my child work each day? Now this is a really good question, and it's something that I ask myself as well. But it's really going to differ between each child, age groups, your child's ability. All these things are going to factor into how long that they should do their schooling each day at home. So if you compare, say, a grade 6er to a year 9, you're going to expect a little bit more from a year 9 than you will a grade 6er. There's going to be more content they need to give you, more understanding in the subjects that they're learning, and probably a lot more word count when they're doing essays. So they will need to put more time compared to, say, a grade 6er, and a grade 6er compared to, say, a 1 or grade 2. Another factor that you've got to think about is your child's ability. So if your child has special needs, they may need more time in certain areas. Now, if your child is really gifted or quite able in a certain subject, you may need less time. So these are some of the things you're going to factor in when it comes to the time you're spending on school work. Another thing that you're going to factor in is if you are actually doing a set curriculum or if you're following your own curriculum, which does factor into the time that you're going to spend on it. Now, taking all those things into consideration, and there's probably many other factors that come into your circumstances and your child's personal needs, another thing you have to consider, when the child is at school, they spend between 6 and 7 hours at school, depending on the school they go to. Now, if you take out of that lunch break and morning tea break, or I think they just call them breaks these days, that's another, I think, about an hour that they take out of that. So you're down to 5 or 6 hours in the day. Then if you take out all the sports, if you take out music, if you take out art, and if you take out, say, assemblies or religious studies, those sort of things, you're going to be left really on the academic side of school, probably 2 hours a day. That's it. Maybe 3 at the most. That's what you should sort of factor into home. Now, if you're doing more than that, go for it. Your child's going to be ahead of what they are in school, definitely, because you'll get through more content. Okay, so I'm not saying that sports and music and art aren't important. No. What I'm saying is that the 2 to 3 hours a day of academic work is what you should aim at most days. Now, of course, if your child is doing a sport on the weekend, then that's a sport. They're learning teamwork, they're learning rules, they're getting exercise, same as they would at school. If your child is doing a musical instrument, or maybe they're singing in a choir, that's music. They're learning how to read sheet music, learning the songs, and they're performing. So that is all part of what they would do at school, just in a smaller group. If they're doing an art class like my daughter, then they're getting art as well. So all these things are important, but at home you can sort of see them in a different way. It's not that set time of just that 6 or 7 hours a day. Really, homeschool can be a 7-day week kind of thing, and you're just doing things in different orders and in different ways. Just to reiterate, depending on the structure you have in your homeschool, if you're doing a unit study, you have a little bit more flexibility with time and how much you spend on each thing. If you have textbooks and your authority is giving you a set curriculum and there's more structure and more restrictions on your time, you may need to have a more structured timetable for your homeschool. Okay, so if you have a set curriculum and your authority tells you you have to do a particular textbook, I haven't got any of those sort of textbooks with me, So I'll just use some of my textbooks as an example for you. So say you have a year 6 math book and you know you need to get through that in the year. What you do is you take out the topics and how many topics they are. You divide that into the amount of days or weeks, depending on how you run your homeschool, that you have in that year. So typically you're going to have anywhere between 35 to 40 weeks of school per year. That's taking into consideration you might be going on holidays. Maybe you've got a big holiday you need to cram a bit more into. The good thing about homeschool is you can sort of chop and change or push it some weeks and then lessen it other weeks because you're running it, yes? So if you do have a particular textbook you need to get through, work out how many topics or how many pages, if it comes down to that, divide it by the weeks that you will be homeschooling, or if you want to get really specific and do it in the days, and you could do it how many minutes you have to work every day. But if you just want to be a little bit easier or free-flowing a bit more, just work out the topics, work out the weeks that you have to do those topics, and then you're going to have an idea of how much time you need to spend on each topic. Now, if you've got 40 weeks in the year, you've got 20 topics, then you're going to need 2 weeks for every topic. So really, that's up to you. You can make that as detailed or as fluid and changing as you would like. Those are the things you have to take into consideration. If you'd normally have 40 weeks in the year and you're going to take, 6 weeks to go around Australia, then go on the fact that you only have 34 weeks and then divide whatever you need to do into that. So it's all about dividing. You can even get the kids to help you because that's math. All right, so the next question is, have you ever had negative criticism from the authority when they come and do their yearly checks? Okay, so I personally haven't had any negative feedback from the authorities, but I do tend to be the type of person that over prepares, okay? I want to know everything before I'm doing it just so I don't have to do it again. But I can tell you a little bit from what my knowledge is and what I've looked up and what I've read. It's very rare for the authority to be out to get you, yes? You need to rethink your idea of what they're there for. They're not so much of a policing body. What they're there to do, or what they should be doing for you, is actually supporting you in your role as a homeschool parent. That means that if you need help, they're the people to ask. If you need advice, they are the people to ask. Okay, so when we change our perspective of what they're there for, we can start to use them for the knowledge that they have. So if they do happen to come and see you, or they see a report that you do, like in Queensland, we send in a report, and there's something that you haven't done right, or maybe you need to have more, yeah, they're going to tell you. So what I suggest in that circumstance is to not take it personally. Their interest is in your child's education. That is a moment where you can ask questions about what they're actually expecting of you, how much more they need from you. Ask for examples of what they're wanting from you. You need the help, and that's what they're there for, so use them for that. Most likely when they tell you that you haven't done something completely correct, they're going to ask you to fix it for the next report. Maybe they'll ask you to fix it for this one, and it might be the fact that they just need a little bit more information from you as the mum and the teacher, or the dad and the teacher, about how you went about the process that you've taken. Now, in saying that, what I highly suggest you do before reporting or before their visit is find out what they're expecting from you. In a previous video I did mention all about compulsory yearly reporting. I'm going to put a link to that video somewhere here and at the end of this video, so that once you watch this one, you can go back and review that video. It gets into a lot more detail about really what they're expecting from you in that yearly report. What happens is, when you ring them prior to the report and you say, look, I just want to know what you're going to expect from me in this report or in this visit, can you send me the document early just so I can get that understanding of what you're expecting. They are more than happy to do that. They will gladly send you all the documents, and that way, before you start the year, you know exactly what you need to keep along the way. You know exactly the types of material they're looking for, and they literally give you examples if you ask for them of pieces of writing from kids or mathematical work from kids that they find acceptable or non-acceptable. So you will have a really good understanding if you get their help and just get those documents early. So the third question on this video is, how do I document my child's progress? Well, this is highly related to that yearly reporting that you need to get done. If you are yearly reporting on your child, that ends up being a report on your child's progress. So again, the best way of doing it is to actually know what your authority wants prior, so you know exactly what your child needs to do to satisfy the yearly reporting authority requirements. So for me, that becomes how I report or how I keep documents on my child's progress. I use those yearly reporting documents, and it's like a report card that you get from school, yes? Now, some of the programs you use will also give progress reports on your child. So for instance, my math program that I use with my kids actually can give me a report on what my child has learned for the term or the week and how they've gone and what their understanding is. I can print those forms off and then I can use them as my own records of my child's progress, or I can use those in the yearly reporting requirements that I need for my authority. Just as a side note, with the report or the yearly reporting requirements, one of the things that they do look for is a progression of knowledge. So if you start the year learning about, say, I don't know, a butterfly's life cycle, you may start by having the overall idea, maybe a diagram of the butterfly life cycle. Throughout the year, you might get into more detail on each individual part of that butterfly's life cycle. So by the end of the year, you could have a 1 or 2 page report or a poster or a project on the butterfly life cycle that's going to be a lot more detailed than what you started with, which was just a picture with maybe a few words on it. This is the sort of thing they want to see. They want to see a progression of learning so that they can see that your child is progressing in their understanding, progressing in their ability to write, and then progressing in the way that they deliver it out to people to read or look at, and that they have a great understanding of what they're doing. So as I said, that yearly report really helps not only your authority, but for you to get an understanding of your child's progress and where they are. Part of that yearly reporting usually will involve some area where you feel like you need to do more. I mean, you don't have to be perfect. They're not asking for perfection. What they're asking for is you to be honest in the progression of what your child's going through. If your child is finding it hard in a particular area, you are allowed to say that. Don't be so scared that they're going to say, oh, you're not doing a good enough job, they have to go back to school. It doesn't work that way. What they want to see is that you can see where the problem is, that you're trying hard and implementing things to help that child get through that hard area or that learning difficulty, or that you're getting them the help that they need where you can't. That doesn't mean you've failed. It actually means you've really succeeded in helping your child to learn more efficiently. So that is okay. You don't have to be 100%, you don't have to be perfect, but you just have to have a valid interest in what your child is learning and doing. Okay, so Bint, I hope that has answered your questions, and I hope that has helped other people who may have been thinking about these questions as well. I know when I first started, these were definitely some of the questions going through my mind, so I'm hoping that's going to help some of the newbies out there to get a better understanding of what their children need to do and how you can keep an eye on their progress. If you've liked this video and you want to see more, please hit that like button. And if you want to subscribe, like I said, hit the subscribe button and the little bell. If you have any questions like Bint did, please put them down in the comment section below. I will try and answer wherever I can. Thanks for listening, thanks for your questions, and I'll see you next week.